The courtroom doors creaked open, and every head turned to watch the little girl walk in, but it was the dog who made the killer sweat. 9-year-old Lily Morgan clutched the leash of her German Shepherd, Justice, her knuckles white. The scar running down the dog's muzzle twitched as his golden eyes locked onto the defendant, Mark Rovner, a wealthy businessman accused of a crime so brutal the jury had gasped when the charges were read. Lily hadn't spoken a word since that night 6 months ago, not to the cops, not to her therapists, not even to her sobbing mother. But as she stepped onto the witness stand, she curled her left pinky finger inward, a secret signal only Justice knew. The dog's reaction was instant. His 90-pound body tensed like a spring, a growl rumbling so deep the bailiff's hand flew to his holster. Judge Alvarez froze mid-sentence. Because Justice wasn't just growling at Rovner, he was staring at the man's right sleeve, where a tattoo peeked out beneath his cuff. The same tattoo Lily had drawn over and over in her nightmares. The prosecutor's file had never mentioned a tattoo. And in that moment, the judge realized, this wasn't just a trial. It was a reckoning. 6 months earlier, Lily Morgan had been the kind of child who filled a room with laughter. With her wild curls and a smile that could melt the grumpiest of hearts, she was the light of her single mother's world. But all of that changed on a rainy October evening. It was supposed to be a normal Tuesday. Lily's mom, Sarah, had worked late at the hospital, leaving her daughter in the care of their elderly neighbor, Mrs. Peabody. At 8:30 p.m., Lily took Justice out for his nightly bathroom break in their fenced backyard. The security lights flickered, just like they always did, casting long shadows across the damp grass. Justice, usually calm, suddenly stiffened. His ears pricked forward, a low whine escaping his throat as he stared into the darkness beyond the fence. Lily, sensing his unease, reached for his collar. "What is it, boy?" That's when the man stepped into the dim glow of the porch light. He was tall, dressed in a dark jacket, his face obscured by a hood. But Lily would never forget his voice, smooth, almost friendly. "Hey there, pup. You lost." Justice's growl was instant, a warning that should have sent the man running. Instead, he smirked. And then, a sharp whistle cut through the night. Justice yelped, his body jerking as if struck by an invisible force. Before Lily could scream, the man vaulted the fence with terrifying ease. His gloved hand clamped over her mouth, his other arm snaking around her waist. She kicked, bit, scratched, but he was too strong. Justice lunged, teeth bared, but the man pulled something from his pocket. A small device. Another whistle, high-pitched and silent to human ears, but Justice collapsed with a pained yelp, his legs twitching uncontrollably. "Good dog," the man chuckled, dragging Lily toward the gate. But not good enough. Then, headlights. Mrs. Peabody's ancient station wagon screeched into the driveway, the horn blaring. The man cursed, shoving Lily to the ground as he fled into the night. By the time Sarah arrived minutes later, police swarmed the property. Lily was physically unharmed. But the bright, chatty girl who loved singing off-key and telling terrible jokes was gone. In her place was a silent shadow who flinched at every slamming door and slept only with Justice curled around her like a living shield. Detective Reyes, the lead investigator, knew this wasn't a random attack. The device used to incapacitate Justice. A military-grade ultrasonic emitter, illegal for civilian use. The way the man moved. Too practiced. Too confident. This was someone who'd done this before. But without Lily's testimony, the case stalled. Until a break came from an unexpected source, Justice himself. During a routine evidence review, Reyes noticed something odd in the security footage. The attacker's sleeve had written up during the struggle, revealing a tattoo, a twisted vine encircling a dagger. The same symbol Lily had drawn obsessively in her sketchbook for weeks. Now, in the courtroom, Rovner's lawyer smirked as Lily trembled on the stand. "Isn't it true, Ms. Morgan, that you've never actually seen my client's face?" he pressed. "That this entire case rests on a dog's behavior?" Lily's breath hitched. Justice, sensing her panic, pressed closer. Then, her pinky twitched. And the dog that had been silent throughout the trial lunged forward with a snarl so vicious Rovner actually fell out of his chair. Because Justice wasn't just reacting to a command. He was reacting to a scent. The same one he'd caught the night of the attack, a mix of expensive cologne and gun oil. And it was pouring off Rovner in waves. The courtroom erupted as Justice's snarling muzzle came within inches of Rovner's throat. Bailiffs surged forward, hands on their weapons, but Judge Alvarez's voice cut through the chaos like a blade. "Order! Control that animal, now!" Lily's small fingers tangled in Justice's fur, not pulling him back, but holding on as if he were the only thing keeping her anchored to this world. The prosecutor, Amanda Carter, didn't miss the way Rovner's polished facade cracked, just for a second, as he scrambled backward, his expensive cufflinks scraping against the floor. "Your Honor," Carter said smoothly, "the defense claims my witness can't identify the defendant. But the dog just did." In the hallway during recess, Detective Reyes unrolled a file across a bench. Crime scene photos from 3 states fanned out, each showing the same twisted vine and dagger inked on victims' arms, a brand used by a human trafficking ring dismantled years ago. Rovner was never a member, Reyes muttered. But his brother was. Found dead in his cell last year. Suicide, they said. He tapped a photo of a younger Rovner at a charity gala, his sleeve perfectly covering where the tattoo should be. Guess revenge makes a man careless. Meanwhile, in the evidence room, a forensic tech held up the ultrasonic whistle recovered from Lily's yard. "This isn't just military grade," she said. "It's experimental. Only 6 were ever made, all accounted for." She paused. "Except one. Stolen from a lab, the same week Rovner's company won a defense contract." Back at the courthouse, Justice refused to let Lily out of his sight. His behavior puzzled even his trainer, until Sarah Morgan found old K9 records buried online. "Oh my God." Her hands shook as she read the report aloud. 2018, K9 Perry's, Justice's original name, led SWAT to a warehouse where traffickers held 4 missing girls. Suspects escaped, but Aries tracked one to a parking lot. Suspect deployed unknown sonic weapon. Dog sustained permanent hearing damage in left ear. Sarah's breath caught. That's why justice had collapsed that night. The whistle exploited his old injury. And the suspect who got away. Description matches Rovner's brother. When the trial resumed, Rovner's lawyer called a surprise witness, a veterinarian who testified that justice was unreliable due to trauma. The jury's doubt grew, until Carter played security footage from the night of Lily's attack. Enhanced audio revealed it, a faint, high-pitched whine right before justice fell. The same frequency as the stolen whistle. Rovner's fingers drummed faster. Then Lily, who hadn't spoken a word in 6 months, opened her mouth. The courtroom air turned to ice as Lily's voice, hoarse from months of silence, cut through the tension like shattered glass. He whistled again, she whispered, her small finger pointing straight at Rovner. Just now. Under his breath. Every head swiveled toward the defendant. Rovner's polished veneer cracked completely, his left hand twitching toward his pocket before he forced it still. Judge Alvarez's gavel froze mid-air as justice suddenly whined, shaking his head violently, the exact same reaction he'd had the night of the attack. Forensic audio expert Dr. Evan Park burst into the courtroom moments later, his laptop hooked to the speakers. "Your Honor, we just analyzed the courtroom recordings." He hit play. To human ears, there was only silence. But Justice's ears flattened against his skull, a pained whimper escaping as the computer screen spiked with ultrasonic frequencies. "That's a 34.7 kHz pulse," Park said grimly. "Identical to the weapon used on this dog, twice now." Rovner's lawyer shot up. "This is perjury." Carter interrupted, throwing crime scene photos onto the defense table. "Or attempted assault. Because whistles don't magically emit frequencies that torture dogs." She turned to the jury. "Unless the person holding it knows exactly what they're doing." Detective Reyes took the stand, revealing the truth about Rovner's brother. Carl Rovner didn't commit suicide in prison. He was murdered, by his own gang. For talking to us. He projected a prison visitor log onto the screen. Mark visited him the day before he died. And left with a gift, later identified as Carl's personal effects. A zoomed-in image showed a black case in Rovner's hand, the exact size and shape of the ultrasonic weapon. As Rovner realized the net tightening around him, he made one last mistake. When the bailiff approached to confiscate his belongings, he jerked backward, and a silver whistle clattered to the floor. Justice moved faster than anyone could react. Not to attack. To stand over the device, his massive body trembling, but his jaws clamping shut around it with a crunch of metal. When he dropped it at the judge's feet, the courtroom erupted. The engraved initials, CR, gleamed in the broken remains, Carl Rovner's unmistakable mark. In the chaos, Lily slipped from the stand and buried her face in Justice's fur. "You remembered," she sobbed, her first full sentence since the attack. "You remembered his smell from the warehouse." The jury didn't need to deliberate. As the guilty verdict rang out, Rovner lunged, not at Lily, but at Justice. "That damn dog ruined everything." His scream was the last sound before the bailiffs tackled him, revealing one final horror. The twisted vine tattoo wasn't just on his wrist. It coiled up his entire arm, a detailed map of locations where other children might still be hidden. The ink told the story. As police photographers documented the intricate tattoo snaking up Rovner's arm, codebreakers from the FBI's cryptanalysis unit made a chilling discovery: the vines weren't just decorative. Tiny numbers and symbols hid in the leaves, forming geographic coordinates. "These aren't just locations," Agent Torres whispered, tracing the ink lines on an enlarged photo. "They're timestamps." He was keeping trophies. Back at the Morgans' home, Sarah watched in awe as her daughter flipped through her nightmare drawings, not random scribbles, but near-perfect recreations of symbols from Rovner's tattoo. "You saw this when he grabbed you?" Sarah asked, heart pounding. Lily nodded, touching a particular cluster of thorns. It glowed. The glow turned out to be UV-reactive ink, visible only under blacklight. When investigators scanned Rovner's arm with special lamps, 7 hidden dates lit up. Each matched a child's disappearance across 3 states. The team assembled at the oldest coordinate, a derelict boathouse on the Chesapeake Bay. Justice alerted before they even opened the door, his nose twitching at a scent only he could detect. "Impossible," breathed Detective Reyes as they pried up floorboards. "This place was searched years ago after." The rotting wood gave way, revealing a steel hatch. Below lay Carl Rovner's legacy: soundproof cells lined with children's drawings, a shelf holding 7 labeled vials of hair, and 1 empty space with a freshly painted 8, meant for Lily. Interrogation footage showed the moment Rovner broke. "My brother died for those brats," he screamed when shown the boathouse photos. "His collection was supposed to fund our retirement." The truth was monstrously simple: the brothers had been auctioning victims to offshore buyers via dark web auctions. Carl's arrest forced Mark to rebuild the operation alone, until Justice sniffed out his first solo kidnapping attempt. 1 year later, Lily stood before a crowd at Justice's Medal of Bravery ceremony, her voice clear as a bell. "He didn't just save me," she said, scratching behind the dog's ears where his scars had finally faded. "He saved all the kids we couldn't see yet." As cameras flashed, Justice did something he'd never done before: he wagged his tail. The story might have ended there, if not for the letter that arrived on Lily's 10th birthday. Postmarked from a federal prison, it contained a single sentence in shaky handwriting. "Ask your dog about the 8th whistle." And somewhere in the house, Justice began to growl. The moment Lily unfolded the prison letter, Justice's entire body locked onto the paper. His nostrils flared, his hackles rose, and a sound unlike anything the Morgans had ever heard tore from his throat, a mix of a snarl and a whimper, as if the ghost of every victim had just whispered in his ear. Sarah snatched the letter away, her hands shaking. "We're burning this," she said, but Lily was already staring at Justice, her eyes widening. "Mom," she whispered. "He's counting." Justice was pawing at the floor in a frantic, rhythmic pattern. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then he froze. Head tilting, as if listening to something far away. The veterinary specialist adjusted her equipment, frowning at the readouts. "You're right. Justice is reacting to something, but it's not ultrasonic this time." She pointed to a spike on the screen. "This frequency is even higher." almost inaudible to any dog, unless they've been exposed to it before. Lily's blood ran cold. Like how he remembers Rovner's smell. The vet nodded grimly. Someone's testing a new weapon. And they know Justice can hear it. That night, Lily woke to Justice standing rigid at her window, his reflection lit by a flickering streetlight. Outside, a shadow moved, a figure in a hoodie, holding something small and metallic. A whistle glinted in their hand. Justice didn't growl. Didn't bark. He smiled. Because this time, he'd been waiting. The figure outside Lily's window never saw it coming. As the eighth whistle sound sliced through the night, a frequency designed to paralyze any canine, Justice didn't collapse. He charged. The would-be assassin's eyes widened as 90 pounds of fur and fury exploded through the screen window. The ultrasonic device shattered under Justice's paws as he lunged, his teeth closing not on flesh, but on the attacker's sleeve, yanking downward to reveal a tattoo identical to Rovner's. No! The man screamed, scrambling backward. You were supposed to. A police spotlight flooded the yard. Detective Reyes stepped into the light, his service weapon trained on the gasping suspect. Officer Daniel Hayes, he spat. Carl Rovner's prison guard. The one who missed his suicide. The pieces fell together. The eighth whistle was a backup plan. Hayes had been running the operation since Carl's death. And Justice? He'd been their test subject years before Lily, the only dog who survived their experiments. As Hayes begged for mercy, Justice stood panting over him, waiting for one signal. Lily knelt, pressing her forehead to her dog's scarred muzzle. Find the others, she whispered. With a joyful bark, Justice took off into the darkness, leading SWAT to 7 hidden locations in one night. By dawn, the last of Rovner's victims were free. At Hayes' sentencing, Justice did something unexpected. Throwing back his head, he howled, a sound that made every dog in the city answer. The prosecutor smiled. That's not a cry. It's a war whistle. And somewhere, new monsters shuddered at the sound. Lily and Justice's story proves that even the smallest voices, and the fiercest barks, can bring down the darkest evil. But the fight isn't over. Did this unforgettable duo make your heart race? Smash that like button if you believe in underdog victories. Drop a comment with "whistle" if you'd follow Justice into his next mission, and subscribe now because real heroes come with wagging tails and unbreakable courage. Turn on notifications so you never miss a story where love and bravery triumph, because the world needs more tales where good wins, one paw at a time.